Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're giving everything you've got, but it still feels like you're not being respected? It's frustrating, isn't it? Especially when you care about someone, but their actions just don't reflect that same level of care or appreciation. Maybe it's a relationship, a friendship, or even a colleague, someone who just doesn't seem to treat you the way you deserve. You're doing your best, but it feels like your respect is being taken for granted. Now, what if I told you that you have the power to take control of this situation? What if I told you that there are timeless teachings, ones from Stoic philosophy, that can guide you through this? Today, we're diving deep into how to handle women, or anyone, for that matter, who don't respect you, using the wisdom of Stoicism. This is a journey that could completely change the way you approach your relationships and, most importantly, yourself. But before we jump in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video if you're ready to reclaim the respect you deserve. Stick around until the end, because the strategies we're going to talk about will completely transform how you handle disrespect and could even change your love life. So let's get into it. Let me take you back a little bit. Imagine you're in a relationship. Maybe it's new. Maybe it's been going on for a while. At first, everything seems fine. You're both getting along, there's laughter, excitement, the whole package. But over time, you start noticing something, subtle at first, but then it becomes glaringly obvious. She stops valuing your opinions. She cuts you down in front of others, maybe even belittles your thoughts or feelings. The affection fades and all you're left with is frustration. You've been trying to make things work, but it feels like you're constantly giving, and yet there's no reciprocal respect. You try to address it, but somehow, the conversation always ends up with you feeling unheard or misunderstood. You're stuck in this cycle. Sound familiar? Now think about what Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus might have said if they were standing here, giving you advice. They didn't believe in waiting for others to change or for life to magically improve. They believed in controlling what you can, your own actions, reactions, and mindset. And with that in mind, let's talk about the 5 ways to handle women or anyone who disrespects you through the lens of Stoic philosophy. Chapter 1. Stop tolerating disrespect immediately. Put yourself in this person's shoes. They are in a relationship, which may be brand new or has been evolving over time. Everything is wonderful and exciting at first, isn't it? A sense of gratitude, affection, and admiration has washed over you. However, changes start to take place with the passage of time. First, it's nothing more than a slight and offhand comment or jest made fun of you. Maybe it's her expression of utter indifference whenever you bring up a sensitive topic, or her complete lack of empathy whenever you express your frustration. Over time, you become aware of the subtle nagging feeling that something is off, and before you realize it, you fall into a routine of being mistreated all the time without speaking up. Have you ever told yourself, "Oh, it's not a big deal," or "she didn't mean it that way," and then let it go? Perhaps you have ignored it because you were afraid of upsetting others. Perhaps you've promised yourself that things would improve if you simply move on. However, it's gnawing at you from the inside out. Asking oneself, "Why am I tolerating this?" becomes necessary at that point. The insight of Stoicism is applicable here. One of the most prominent Stoic thinkers, Marcus Aurelius, stresses the need of being truthful no matter what. What does it say about your self-worth? If you put up with rudeness and other forms of disrespect, you are telling yourself, "I'm not worthy of better," when you let disrespect go. However, the Stoics teach us an important lesson. Your value is not determined by how you treat other people. Your personal deeds and principles determine it. Tolerance of poor behavior is not necessary. I don't only mean serious acts of disdain, like infidelity or treachery. No, what I mean are the more understated aspects, such as disrespectful remarks, a lack of enthusiasm, and subtle forms of dismissal. What makes these things significant is the gradual erosion they bring to one's self-esteem and feeling of value. Forget about the fiction for a while. Are you familiar with the feeling of being an afterthought in a relationship despite your constant giving and compromising? For you, how was that? I can only imagine how exhausting it would have been to put in all that emotional work for such little payoff. It's as if you were trapped in an endless loop, where you were never appreciated for what you were. You are permitted to cease accepting disrespect without delay. And this is crucial. That is a sign of strength, not weakness or pettiness. It's an indication of confidence. Making it plain that certain actions will not be permitted sends a strong message to both her and yourself when you draw that line. This does not, however, give you carte blanche to behave rashly or initiate a major altercation without proper consideration. No, acting on impulse rather than emotion is what the Stoics, notably Seneca, emphasized. Calmly establishing your limits and standing firm is the greatest approach to deal with disrespect. I don't appreciate that comment, or that kind of behavior doesn't sit well with me, are examples of assertive statements that may help you take charge of your life and stop letting other people define your value. Refusing to put up with rudeness is a statement about how important your peace and integrity are to you, both in the long run and in the short term. So I must inquire, have you ever been in a position where you came to the realization that you were only enduring bad conduct? How did you feel at that moment? What would have transpired if you had expressed your concerns earlier, before the pain intensified? Perhaps it's time to quit putting up with disrespect and take back your authority. You are deserving of more. Chapter 2. Stay calm. Don't react emotionally. Now that we've covered the basics of disrespect, let's speak about the emotion that might get in the way. What do you do when you find yourself in a scenario where you have recently been disrespected? You mean anger? Your pulse quickens, your blood pressure rises, and you're prepared to return the attack with equal ferocity. And trust me, I understand. It's tempting to react violently, to equal her intensity, to let her know how you feel. The issue is, though, it is precisely her expectation. Plus, the Stoics were aware of this. Something significant was remarked by Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Consider it. The issue is not disrespect per se, but rather how you choose to react to it. In addition, the Stoics held that mastery over one's responses was the key to lifelong autonomy. Keeping your cool when you feel wronged isn't easy, but it's even harder when it involves someone you care about. There's an element of the individual. But here's the catch. Your strength is sapped whenever you react emotionally. You're succumbing to her manipulations. Remaining composed, taking a step back, and responding clearly allows you to preserve your serenity, self-respect, and dignity. Allow me to share a tale, one to which I have no doubt a large number of you may identify. Picture this. You and your partner are embroiled in a furious quarrel. She makes a cruel comment. It might be a criticism of something you've been feeling sensitive about, or she could just be being rude. That hurts. You can sense the anger building up. However, a crucial memory comes flooding back to you at that same second. You keep in mind that becoming angry will make matters worse. You decide to take a deep breath instead of reacting aggressively. There is a halt on your part. Excitement fades as you let it to, and you reply composed rather than furious. You may feel yourself emerging from the mayhem and into a position of mastery when you react serenely. Her words and deeds no longer control you. You seem composed, steady, and confident. That is powerful, I promise you. Do you have any personal experience with emotional outbursts that you subsequently came to regret? Perhaps you said an unintentional remark while you were feeling really emotional. Perhaps you felt worse after acting impulsively. Conversely, the Stoic approach encourages us to maintain composure in all circumstances. Why? Because we gain command of the circumstance when we master our emotions. When you encounter disrespect in the future, do this simple exercise. Instead of responding right away, wait. Get up to 10. Breathe deeply. How do I wish to react? Is a good question to ask. Would I rather stay firmly planted on the ground or throw gasoline on the fire? You may alter your approach to dispute resolution only by changing your viewpoint. The question then becomes, what is your typical reaction when someone disrespects you? How does your emotional state compare to when you're trying to remain calm? I dare you to maintain your composure and reply with consideration the next time you are the target of rudeness. Believe me when I say it will be worth the effort. Chapter 3. Reduce attention and availability. I want to remind you of a moment when you cared deeply for someone. All your thoughts seemed to center on that one person, whether it was in a relationship or just because you had a crush on them. If you wanted to feel seen and valued, you'd be the kind to continually check your phone for messages or calls. However, you began to notice something after some time had passed. They were acting differently. You were the one who made first moves, the one who reached out, and yet you were frequently the one who was disregarded or abused. It is simple to ignore at first. We all have our hectic lives, don't we? However, after a while, it becomes apparent that you're putting in a lot of effort and seemingly receiving little in return. You begin to feel exhausted, unloved, and even more so unnoticed. What if, however, I told you that you had the power to solve this problem? Is it possible that limiting your availability and drawing back from the spotlight might be the secret to restoring your power? Here is where the wisdom of the Stoics becomes apparent again. A key tenet of Stoicism is the recognition that the gift of our time and effort is priceless. We end up depleted when we give too much of ourselves to someone who doesn't appreciate us. If the plant isn't flourishing, there's no use in watering it. Your emotional health, like a plant, begins to wither as you continue to water someone who doesn't value it. The harsh reality is that when you're never far away, or when you're always trying to get the other person to do something, you're effectively telling them they can get away with nothing. Just consider how easy it is for someone to take your presence for granted when they know you'll be there for them, no matter what. A one-sided dynamic will ensnare you before you realize it. Please recall an instance when you were deeply infatuated with another person. Is there a specific time when you realized you were sacrificing too much? It may be that you were always the first to text, or that you always changed your schedule to accommodate them, but they never did the same. For you, how was that? Not too taxing, is it? The Stoic response is straightforward. Be less available. This in no way implies engaging in manipulative behavior, such as playing games or withdrawing emotionally. No. Being self-aware entails knowing that you are valuable and that your time is valuable. You're showing that you can only exert so much energy before you tire. You may demonstrate that you have a life outside them when you take a step back. Quit starting conversations at random and stop being so accessible. Oh, and the best part? That enhances your attractiveness. Individuals with a clear sense of direction and enthusiasm attract like-minded people. If you're constantly accessible, people will start to expect you, and that might make them bored. Maintaining a healthy relationship requires effort from both parties. The dynamic will not be healthy if you are the one who consistently puts in the most effort. Reducing your availability allows the other person to demonstrate their appreciation for you by taking the lead. Is it the case as well? Well, at least you aren't squandering time anymore. I have a question for you. Have you ever been in a situation where you were constantly there for someone else, but they were never there for you? What effect did that have on your emotions and the bond between you two? Please inform me in the space provided. Please share your experiences and opinions on this. Always put your own needs and wants first. Effort is also worthwhile for you. Chapter 4. Focus on your growth and independence. Okay, let's go into something that has the potential to alter your life's trajectory, eh? Focus on your own development and autonomy. Imagine this, you've realized that you've neglected your personal aspirations and ambitions because you've been so focused on your relationship. You've lost sight of what's important to you in your pursuit of harmony and the other person's approval. Does it ring a bell? Okay, I see. When you're in a relationship, it's easy to let yourself become entangled. Putting other people's needs above our own is something we've all done. The key to Stoicism, though, is the belief that you have no power over anybody other than yourself. A priority on one's own development and autonomy is one of the best presents one can provide to oneself. Nothing, not even love, wealth, or social standing, can ever truly satisfy us. As the Stoics preached, we invite disappointment upon ourselves if we put our complete trust on other people to provide us joy and value. Consider how precarious your situation becomes when you rely entirely on another person to meet your emotional needs. When others disregard you or distance themselves, you are left with nothing. However, when you prioritize your own development and progress, your happiness is not contingent upon anybody else. It is intrinsic. In case you've forgotten, when was the last occasion that you made time to focus only on yourself, for your own benefit alone and not for the benefit of the other person, your friends, or anybody else? Perhaps it was the time you traveled alone, dedicated a day to improving your health, or learned something new. Recall the sense of empowerment that washed over you. By emphasizing your development, I mean just that. It's about creating a life you're happy with, without worrying about what other people think or approve of. According to Stoicism, we can find those who share our ideals of independence and personal development if we put our attention on those things. Consider this. When you work on improving yourself, the people you surround yourself with will naturally follow suit. Once you realize your value, you will no longer accept anything less than what is rightfully yours. You've finished being yourself, Therefore, there's no longer a need to find someone else to round you out. So you may be wondering, how is this relevant to the topic of dealing with disrespect? Well, when you're out for personal development and freedom, you become acutely aware of when other people aren't contributing anything worthwhile to your life. You will not put up with their rudeness since you are self-sufficient. You're complete. Whoa, that's self-assurance. It exerts a magnetic field, attracting individuals who value you as an individual, rather than someone you're trying to impress is the key to success. So here's my question. When was the last time you gave your undivided attention to developing yourself? You begin to attract the perfect people into your life when you commit to become your greatest self. Have you ever observed that? I would love to hear about the times in your life when you understood the value of concentrating on yourself, so please share your tales in the comments below. Putting effort into developing your independence and self-reliance can help you become a better person overall, not only a better spouse. Plus, no one can ever take it away from you. Chapter 5, Be Ready to Walk Away. This may be an emotionally charged subject, but have you ever persisted in a relationship despite your deepest suspicions that it wasn't working out? Perhaps you clung to the hope that things would improve, or out of fear of being alone that you remained. Even though you were becoming more and more exhausted and underappreciated daily, you persisted in expecting that things would improve. Plus, you had a sneaking suspicion that you were deserving of better. But the thought of really leaving felt insurmountable. Okay, I see. I'm finding it difficult. The force of love is immense. It's about more than simply two people being together. It's about the memories, experiences, and dreams that you created as a couple. However, there are moments when you need to reflect on your reasons for staying, love or fear. Illnesses related to dread of solitude, change, and the unknown. The insight of Stoicism is most useful in that regard. One of the most important things we can learn from the Stoics is to know our own limitations and act accordingly. According to Stoic philosophy, one should take a step back and assess the issue dispassionately. When a connection is no longer beneficial, has grown poisonous, or is disrespectful. Do you know what you can control? What you do. Tell me what you can't change. What the other person does or says to you. When you realize you can't change another person, you may start to take charge of your own life. Part of that strength also comes from knowing when to step away. Maybe you may connect to this anecdote from my past. When I was in a relationship a few years ago, I thought I was giving it my all to keep it going. But I encountered continuous mental anguish, disdain, and apathy regardless of my efforts. Things would get better, I told myself again and over. Somehow I couldn't let go of the belief that things will eventually improve. Somewhere, though, I sensed that compromise was inevitable. I needed to figure out if this connection was limiting my development or if it was actually assisting me. I had to be prepared to bail at that point. The most challenging aspect was that walking away is more than simply physically leaving. It's also a change in how you feel emotionally and mentally. You're basically stating that you care about yourself enough to prioritize calm over anarchy, love over terror, and progress over regression. It's about reclaiming your agency and realizing that being in an environment that doesn't value you will only prevent you from reaching your full potential. The point is, walking away isn't the same as giving up. Picking oneself is the key. The key is realizing that you are deserving of kindness, affection, and joy, and if it's not happening in your relationship, then breaking up ties is a sign of strength, not weakness. Consider a time in your own life when you were this age. Have you ever stayed in a relationship for too long, even when you knew it wasn't the correct choice? Think back on the times you felt unheard or misunderstood, or the disagreements that just wouldn't go away. You remained nevertheless. Why? Could it be that you simply cannot fathom a world apart from that individual? Or perhaps you were afraid of the unknown and wanted to avoid it. Reflect on the emotions evoked by that connection. Did it make you stronger, or did it weaken you gradually? Reclaiming your inner peace, sense of self-worth, and capacity for personal growth is what we mean when we say you're ready to walk away, not only from the relationship. But here's the thing, sometimes the best things in life start when you just walk away. You unlock a world of possibilities when you decide to be yourself. In doing so, you pave the way for your own healing and growth, as well as the attraction of a loving partner who will accept you just as you are. Do you feel prepared to go when the time comes? This is something I want you to think about. How would it feel to finally let go of something that isn't helping you anymore? Leave a comment with your ideas. I'm interested in hearing about your experiences in relationships when you've had to make a difficult choice. The most self-loving thing you can do at times is to just walk away. Conclusion. In conclusion, Stoicism tells us that we should not respond emotionally, look for approval, or put up with abuse when we are disrespected. The alternative is to break the cycle as soon as possible by remaining composed, conserving energy and time, concentrating on self-improvement, and stepping away when needed. Here are 5 strategies that will empower you to deal with disrespect and become an independent individual. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.